Thanks for tuning into a special collaborative episode of the Gale Ventures podcast and the Ionavation podcast, coming to you from the Heinz Institute for Entrepreneurship and Innovation at Iona University. This is day 2 of our special eTalk speaker series, where we've invited entrepreneurs and business leaders to the Heinz Institute to talk to our students about their entrepreneurial journeys and share advice for our aspiring entrepreneurial students here at Iona. Today, we're speaking with Magally Casas, Senior Marketing Manager at Conair, who just wrapped up her eTalk. Magally, thank you so much for joining us today. How are you?
Good, how are you?
Good. So is this your first time coming to the Heinz Institute?
It is. I visited one time before just kind of to see where it's at, but I think it's such a great institute. I think it was amazing to be here and to really talk about the journey.
Excellent, excellent. So for those that are listening that didn't get to attend your talk, let's just do sort of like the Cliff Notes version of what we discussed.
So when I was first approached to come to the Heinz Institute, it was more, what is the purpose? What do we want to talk about? I want to talk about the journey in coming into marketing. I have a strong production background, and I talked about how the different stages and how I ended up in marketing and how every career step that you take only leads you into, a successful plan if you believe in it. And we talked about, how you get there from point A to point B.
Excellent. And so, we had a couple of students in the audience that were interested in marketing. And one of the things I thought was really cool about your talk is you had some challenge questions about marketing to engage the students and give out some, prizes for those answers. So I thought that was like a really effective way to engage them. But, what were some of the questions that you got from some of the students that were interested in marketing?
So I think a lot of them who weren't taking marketing majors wanted to know, if I have a specific background in something else, how can I incorporate that to marketing? And I said, marketing is really just, you can take it any way. You can do from digital, you can do traditional. I think whatever background you have, whether if it's finance or even, theatrical, I feel like everything can kind of mix in together as long as that you have a plan in mind and what you want to offer.
Yeah, it's so interesting. I'm actually in the midst of getting my MBA, and I'm taking a couple of marketing classes. I was a small business owner previously, but I had no education and didn't consider myself a marketing person. And one of the things I'm continuing to learn is, what you said, there's so many different aspects to marketing, from, analytics, if you're more of a data person and analyzing data, or maybe you're really interested in human engagement and you want to be involved in, stakeholder engagement to help develop new products. That's very different from the data side. So, I think to your point, whatever your interest in your experience, if you're interested in getting into marketing, there's probably a way to apply that in some way.
Yeah, and for me, I was working in production, and I worked into a company, the Conair, which is beauty based, and I learned marketing, and I said, what, I went back to get my MBA because I wanted to learn, and there's digital marketing now, which we didn't know that back then. So
yeah, it's so interesting. In our undergrad and grad courses, there's a concentration specifically in marketing analytics. That's such an important thing now. Is okay, you put a great marketing campaign out there, but let's look at how it's performing. Let's look at trends. Let's look at existing data sets. And you don't often think of number crunchers being involved in marketing, but that's absolutely integral.
Yes, and I feel like when someone asks you, what do you, I interview, right, for coordinator positions or assistant positions, why do you want to get into marketing? And I feel if you have that creative and analytical side, I think those are 2 key components that you can branch out to anything. Excellent.
So, if we have students here listening that are, interested in pursuing a career in marketing, what are a couple of pieces of advice you have to sort of help them on their path?
I think, nowadays the job market's tighter, but I think with marketing, you can go to social media. I think find something you're passionate about, whether it's a product or a service. I've heard some great ideas here that of just services that they want to do, and it's not just a product. It could be anything, just something that you're more passionate about, and just go for it.
Yeah, it's interesting. I was having a conversation with a student yesterday who's interested in marketing and really interested in the food and beverage industry. And she's really trying to think about how she can kind of niche down and specialize in doing marketing for hospitality and food services. So I think, to your point, if you are passionate about anything, everything needs to be marketed when you're talking about a commercial product or service. So, follow your passion. I think that's great advice.
And for me, I work in men's grooming. So a lot of people are like, how did you get in there? You don't know how to use a product. So I feel like also when you have that marketing formula, you can use that and translate it to any good or service.
Absolutely. And so any advice just in general for our entrepreneurship students, if they're sort of unsure what the next step for them is after graduating, any tips or advice?
I'd say, go for, what your heart desires. I feel like having that passion behind it really works, because I feel if you don't, it's just not going to come down to anything. And I feel like take a risk. You'll get a lot of no's, but you'll get that one yes.
Of course, yeah. And I think, being young, being right out of college, and knowing that they have an entrepreneurial spirit, like try a lot of different things, because even if it's not the right fit, you're going to develop skills that are going to help you on your pathway in life. So, explore your passions and just try things. I think that's really good advice. Well, I really appreciate your time. I think your presentation was very interesting and very engaging, and I think the students got a lot out of it. And I just want to thank you for taking a couple minutes to chat with us today.
Thank you so much, and I wish luck to all the students.
Awesome. Thanks for tuning in to the Gale Ventures and Ionavation podcast. We'll see you in the next episode.